The opinions and views expressed in the following program are those of the speakers and the host, and do not necessarily reflect those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and your sports network. And welcome inside a Wednesday episode of Running Point on ysnlive.com. Anthony Hartwig with you, and as always, joined by my good friend on Wednesdays, Scotty Bencher, up to my sidecar. Scotty, how we doing? Oh, geez, how we doing?
I'm good. I'm all right. I think I'm fighting a little cold, so I'm just hoping, praying I don't start coughing.
Good
But
thing you'll fit right in, Scotty. You'll fit right in because you've done a show with me before. You know I can get into a coughing jag really easily. So no worries there. Scotty, did you like the new intro? You're in it.
oh yeah, I gotta say I haven't got to talk to you about it. That is fire, man.
You're in it, buddy. You've made it.
I've made it. I've made it. I've arrived.
Let's go.
Always room for improvement, but yeah. Thank you, man.
Scotty's like, give me two clips in the intro next time. We'll improve even more.
Well, I can work my way up.
Yeah, you gotta really work for 2 clips, Scotty.
Yeah.
You gotta put your nose to the grindstone to get 2 clips in the intro.
But thank you very much. That's awesome, man, to get to be a part of the intro.
Oh, you're a big part of this show. You're on every week. It would make morbid sense to have you in the intro. Want to thank Matt Maher for putting that together. We thanked him yesterday. We're probably going to thank him the next couple of days until we get used to that intro. But he was able to put that together for us. So, yeah, we have a new season and finally a new intro for Running Point. It's been the same for, I think 4 or 5 years. However long this show's been, we wanted just a little bit of a refresher. Although the old intro was really good, and we got a new one. We got a new intro to the show. So great to have you aboard, Scotty. One of the things we want to talk about today, the Canfield Invitational yesterday at Mill Creek Park, a big part of the golf season at Mill Creek. We know that a bunch of schools use that golf course as their home, but the Canfield Invitational, something that a lot of people really look forward to, boys and girls both in action against a lot of really good teams across the region. The girls on their side finished 3rd out of 12 teams. It was Dublin Jerome that got the win on the girls' side of the Canfield Invitational. They had a final score of 291. Canfield with a score of 324. For Canfield, they were led by Aubrey Philibin. She had 77. And then Alexandra Conley had a 79. Mia Coho had a 82. And Mia Tizone had an 87. Rounding out that scoring was Natalie Sawicki with a 90. Canfield also brought their varsity red team. I believe that's how they break it up. It's their B varsity team. They have finished with a 391 overall. And let's see, it was Lauren Sam that led them with a 91. Lainey Klee had a 94. Grace Carrier had a 101. And then Chloe Leskovac and Cadence, I think, Cadence they both had a 105. So, That's that. On the boys' side, the Canfield boys won the tournament. They finished with a final team score of 302. They also had the winner of the individual scores as Mick Ambrose won it with a 72 for Canfield. Nathan Miller had a 74. You had Topher Dumbretta with a 77. Drew Chaplow and Mason McClure had a 79. Howland was there. They had a team score of 338. They had um, Bodie Biggin with a 81 to lead them. Deacon Mack had a 83. Jesse George an 86. Anthony Palumbo had an 88, and Jake Lynn had a 92. Canfield's B varsity team on the boys' side, were led by Logan Patelis with an 84. Chad Volivar and Michael Mazak had a 86. Let's see. Carson Alvarez had an 87, and then Braceland had a 113 to round out the scores for that. But a big tournament. Canfield boys win overall, and the Canfield girls finished third out of 12 teams. Dublin Jerome got the win on the girls' side, by the way, for the Canfield Invitational. Scotty, we're gonna have Brian on soon. He's got a lot of duties, of course, as the um, head of golf over there at Mill Creek Park. But he said when school starts, he'll be able to probably come on. So maybe in the next 2 weeks, we could have Brian Toller on for Wednesdays as well, talking more golf. But so far, off to a lot of teams in the Ysn family, Scotty, off to a pretty good start to the season. Middle Ridge girls are on a 4-match winning streak. They're back in action tonight. Canfield girls and boys have both been doing really well. We've been getting recaps for that. West Branch boys, they had a big win last week. Um, and then West Branch girls barely edged by Marlington, but put together good scores last week as well. So where's Warren JFK always has a good golf team on the boys' side. They're doing really good. So yeah, we got some golf teams off to really good starts. They'll be going into the third week of the season. They're in the second week of the season right now.
It's definitely pleasing. You always want to see on any level, and especially on high school, you want that parity. You want a lot of good teams, and teams that are fighting and well balanced. It's always good to see because we don't always get in on the high school level, but I think more and more in several different sports, but golf is definitely one of them. There's just a lot of good teams in the area, a lot of talent.
Yeah, it is for sure. And we're going to be seeing more and more of that when soccer starts Friday, volleyball starts Friday, and then, of course, football a week from Friday. We're going to be seeing more and more of that talent. Scotty, fall sports, we got 2 more shows before fall sports are going to be officially started. How cool is that? Today and tomorrow are our last shows, but I should say before a lot of the fall sports start. Right now, I know golf. I'm not underscoring golf. Technically, fall sports have started, but once we hit Friday, we have 3 out of the 4 sports that we cover mainly on YSN. They'll all be underway starting on Friday. So we have 2 more shows before the start of the big wheel turning for fall sports. And then, of course, next week we have football. But you start to feel it. You start to feel the high school sports coming back, especially on Friday.
Yeah, it's really fun, and I enjoy more and more. I've enjoyed every sports season, and it's been a great summer, and it was great back, when wrestling was, we had Gary on and all that coverage of wrestling, and then during the track season, the interviews we did, like all that stuff was great. But you definitely start getting that itch when the fall sports season is upon us. You get that itch for all the sports, not just golf. So it's really cool that it is upon us now. It went really fast.
Yeah, you look at the calendar and you realize like summer's got a little like the official dates of summer only got a little bit more than a month left. I mean, summer is over September 21st and the summer the winter's no solstice. So September 21st, that's it, right? That's the end of summer officially. Now, hopefully we get a few more weeks after that of warmer weather where we don't have to immediately put the pants and the hoodies and the coats on all the time. So hopefully a little bit more than that, but summer's winding down, Scotty.
It it
You're good. You're good. Take your
is
time.
for sure. It's winding down. And I do. You'd like for a little bit to kind of have a little bit of an extended time of it because we know what the cold feels like in
Ugh.
Ohio, and
I know
you
there are people out there that like the cold, and I'm not trying to put them in the shade, but you're crazy. You're insane. You might be a little bit psychotic.
yeah, I think
It
so.
ain't fun.
Yeah, there's like one a good friend of mine, a Purple Cat Tim. His favorite season is winter, and
Ugh.
I'm like, what? Like how is that your?
Tim, I love you. I know you're Scotty's one of Scotty's good friends. Just can't trust you, buddy. There's something not there.
Yeah, yeah.
All
It's
jokes to each their own. I know some people get a little bit more hot in summer. They can't really regulate their body temperature as well as other people. I get it. But for me, and some people don't get affected by the cold, but for me, like when I'm cold, it hurts. Cold hurts. Heat, a little bit uncomfortable, but unless you're like burning, heat never really. See, it's contagious. Heat never really. Oh my gosh, I can't be out here because it hurts so much. That doesn't happen. Like when the cold wind hits you, you don't even want to be outside because it's literally like diving into your bones. No, thank you.
yeah, it comes with force. Like it's
And I'm sure people that love winter love living here because winter lasts a lot longer than summer. Like, let's be real. Especially like some years we get really unlucky. Like winter will hit in November, like the start of November, and we'll still be getting cold weather days all the way through like the first week of May. Because I remember like district softball games in the snow. All right, so don't tell me that it doesn't stay cold that long because we know, like it doesn't really all the stuff. It doesn't get like all the way warm until like halfway through May.
I'm sure like after the fact, you're like, yeah, like no, I got a story to tell. I got to do
No.
softball in the
What?
snow, but
No,
in the moment when it's happening, you're probably like, no,
no
thank
story to
you,
tell. There's no positives. It's all negative. It's just
all negative.
you should like
With
softball should not be a sport where I have to put a jacket and a stocking cap on to do the game. And for the first half of softball, usually every year, that's what it is. You're putting on, your layers because you go out there and it's still like 43 degrees and you're like, "Oh my gosh, it's like April. What are we doing?" But that's just the reality. Like April's a colder month. It's not warm yet in April. So, you get your winter. You get your winter for like November, December, January, February, March, April, almost a 6-month winter. You can always count on it. So, let us that like the heat like live it up for 3 months, right? We get 3 months of like really legitimate heat, and then you have like 2 months in between that are like there's I guess I should say 3 months in between because that's 12. There are like three of those in between months that you get like September, October, and May that are like could be warm, could be cold. You're hitting, you're missing. So let our summer people have our 3 months. Don't be complaining about the heat for this 3 months, and you can have your 6 months of winter.
Yeah, well, that's what I don't get about like people that'll be like, it's just too hot, the humidity, and I'm like, do you realize how many more days are cold compared? Like,
I know, right?
want
Like,
to enjoy this?
do you know where we live?
Yeah, yeah. It's
And
like,
then
come
what's
on, I don't get it.
what's crazy is because how our bodies work. We'll be in like 50-degree weather soon, and we're gonna be like, oh my gosh. But then when 50s hit after like February, we're like, this is so warm. Put on a t-shirt and shorts, honey. We're going to the beach. It's
Yeah, heat
great.
wave.
Heat wave. Like those little rats in the Muppet Christmas Carol. Heat
Yeah,
wave. This is our island in the sun. Oi oi. Oh my gosh, we have gone so far off the rails, Scotty. So far off the
totally,
rails.
totally off the rails.
Let's draw it back. What do you bring? What are some topics you have? Please tell me you have some topics.
Oh yeah, I do. I come to save the day.
Save it. Come on, put on that cape. Get us back on track.
And also get a little dangerous here.
Yes, Darkwing. Let's go.
Yeah. So I guess first off, I was thinking about this today. I thought it was pretty good for to talk about on this show. Um, I want to get in a little bit, into the football and camel specifically. But first, before that, I just wanted to know, and if you can be a part of, if you can be a part of any team, any sport right now, obviously, boys, like you could be a part of one team or have one guy or girl whoever coach you up. Like, who would you want if you could go in a time machine and go back to high school? What team would you want to be a part of
You're
right
always
now?
coming up with these very hypothetical questions that make me think like crazy. Scotty, I go back in my DeLorean, see what I think. Back in high school. One, don't take me back to high school. I don't want to relive those years. High school was it was fun, but I don't want to go back. I don't want to go through puberty again. No fun. Um, let's see. You know what? I'd stay home. Like really. Like if I could do something different, like if I had a different life or if I didn't have disability, whatever it may be, like to be able to represent South Range in the sport, and to be able to be like coached by Dan Yeagley back when I was in high school, like you can't pass that up, right? You can't say you don't want to do that. So I would say like put me on South Rangers football team back when I was in high school. Get me coached by Dan Yeagley. Let me go. I didn't even have him as a teacher. Like I wasn't good enough back when I was in high school. He was a calculus teacher. I wasn't good enough at math to be a calculus person. So I didn't have Mr. Yeagley as a teacher or as a coach. I feel kind of robbed of the whole South Range experience.
So that would be something that
Oh
you
yeah.
would want.
Oh yeah. I mean, I saw Mr. Eagley in the hall because the math hallway was all in one spot. So you pass him every day, you talk every day, but you didn't get him as a teacher because I wasn't good enough at math, and obviously didn't play football. So yeah, that would be something that I would do absolutely.
It's okay, and I wasn't great at. I
Yeah,
was never a math guy either.
Oh
So
no, my math. I'm a Georgia Tech fan, but not a Georgia Tech student. Way too much math. Way too much math.
yeah, I'm like, give me the 2 plus 2. You
Yeah,
know,
even that, like, mental math, no good, no thank you. Someone put on Facebook the other day, like, how do you do? Like, it was like a simple addition, but it was two double-digit numbers. Like, how would you do this in your head? And I'm like, how do I do that mentally? And then I had to think, and it would probably take even this addition. It would probably take me a solid, 3 minutes of mental math to figure it out. Some people could just snap out like simple mental math. I'm sitting here like for 3 minutes, like carry the one, okay, that then I made that mistake. Gotta go right back. I'm a hose.
it's so it's more of a process.
So calculus would have been like brutal. It was on the second floor. I might have jumped out the window.
Oh man, yeah, that's
I had algebra 1 and 2 in geometry, and that was enough for me for high school math.
yeah. I don't like you said, the people there like whizzes with math. Uh, God bless them. I don't
Yeah,
have.
we need our mathematicians in the world. We need people to figure out awesome mathematical problems. Apollo 13 would have not gotten back home if people didn't know math, but hey, it's not for me. I'm more of the creative person. I'll entertain the people that can do the math, right? What about
Yeah.
you, Scotty? We have to turn that back to you. I'm not letting you go without answering your own question.
So man,
Yeah,
any
exactly.
uh this is I would probably say I think me and DJ touched on this a little bit. Just because the more I see him, the more um, I can feel that passion and enthusiasm that he has. If we're talking football, I'd probably want to play if because you gave the Dan Yeagley, and that really wasn't a surprise. But I would probably say I'd really want to go to war with somebody like an Andy Hake every day. So he would be kind of at the top. Andy Hake and Valley Christian. So
Mad respect, Scotty. You picked a good one.
that's who
Picked a
I'd
good one.
probably go with.
You picked a
Uh,
good one.
it's also I'm trying to think like basketball. Who I hmm. I don't know. It's tough. Another football one. I've always been a Bob Spate fan.
I know.
So
You say his name every show. He's getting love every week. Bob Spade's getting love on Running Point. He should be a sponsor at this point. Actually, get his name on the logo tag.
yeah.
Let's get him as a sponsor. He's getting name dropped. Coach Spade, we love you, buddy. Come be a sponsor. Running Point. Running Scotty's segments brought to you by Bob Spade.
Yeah, brought to you by Spader.
What's on Scotty's mind? Brought to you by Bob Spade.
Um, hmm, I guess, I guess too that I really want to, if I was able to, and I was able to, you know, play baseball and get out there every single day and show the world what I could do. I think I would want to be a part of the um, Austin Town. I always thought the Falcons, mainly just because of their color scheme.
Oh,
I've I've always loved that color scheme. So Austin Down Fitch would be another school,
Scotty like
baseball wise.
Scotty likes him because it's red, white, and blue. Give it to him,
America, baby.
America. And then he's sitting there saying, "Why aren't you all the Eagles? Come on, you got the American colors. You're a bird. Should be the Fitch Eagles, but they won that repetition. They won the alliteration. They won the Fitch Falcons. It rolls off the tongue better. I'll give him that.
It does.
It
It
rolls
does.
off the tongue a lot better. Alliteration always will be something that wins. But yeah, Scott, you sound like me as a 6-year-old. I've told this story before, and you can't put it back in Pandora's box. DJ holds it against me all the time. Oh, he's so wishy washy. When I was a little kid, like I'm talking like 5, 6 years old, you gotta understand my whole family's Kansas City Chiefs fans. So, as a little kid, you kind of want to be different. You want to be able to, stick it to your family a little bit every now and then. I was competitive. I was a little competitive jerk every now and then. So I won. I like the Packers, and people ask me why, because I liked yellow and green together, and I like the G on their helmet. Like that's what I'd say when I was a 6-year-old kid. So Scotty giving the same answer. I like Fitch because they're blue and red, white, and blue in America.
Yeah, you sometimes you just gotta go back and
I liked Brett Favre. What can I say? I was like a little 6-year-old.
yeah, sometimes you just want to go back to those your childhood.
Simpler times, man.
Yeah,
I went through. Remember last week we were talking about snacks that we liked as kids. Today we had like a meeting down at Leonard Kurtz where I had to sign some stuff for a waiver from the Medicaid and MRDD or whatever. So after that, we were like, well, let's just stop at Walmart. So we're going through Walmart, and you're going through those snack aisles that you don't really go through too much. And you start to, like, I used to eat that as a kid, and you're just getting all the memories of things you used to eat when you were this little. Like, it was fruit by the foot. So they still had them in big boxes. I came with those remember those Hugs barrels of juice?
yeah,
They're like little
Huggies.
they're like little, yeah. They
It
still
was
sell
like
those.
straight. It was like straight sugar.
Yeah, they still sell those. Totally.
Okay.
It's straight sugar in juice form. Still totally still sell those. And even though you were supposed to just poke a straw through the foil to avoid spilling stuff, I ripped the foil off and I drank it out of the barrel. Of course I did. Who cares if I spill this blue juice on the carpet? It's not my carpet. I ain't drinking out of a straw like a baby. Drink the whole thing right out of the foil.
Right out of the barrel.
Right out of the barrel. Right out of the barrel.
Yeah.
It's Anthony as a little fourth grader. Yeah, give me the whole barrel of Huggy.
Yeah. So what else did you have? Like Lunchables?
Lunchables, yes, that was the pizza. Lunchables pizza was where you go. I didn't care. Well, when you had the Lunchable sandwiches, I would eat it like I'm a freak. I would eat it separately. Like I'd eat the meat and then I eat the cheese and I eat the crab. I didn't like to put it all together.
Oh, so you would eat one thing at a time.
Yeah, like I like the cheese and I like the meat and I like the crackers, but I don't want a sandwich.
I used to do that as
I
a
don't want a
kid.
whole sandwich. Like
I
crackers plus meat plus cheese all together, not for me.
I used to do that as a kid a lot too.
And then there were these things. I don't remember what they were called, but now that you got me thinking, like they were like you had like they were sticks, but they were like it's almost like a big cracker stick, like animal crackers, like but it was just a long stick. And you would take it, you could like dip it almost like you were dipping into like ranch or something, but it was just like it was icing.
It was like, was it that cheese?
No, it was icing. It was straight sugar. This was a
Okay.
snack. This was not healthy. No health, right?
Okay.
This was they probably made them in cheese. It was probably the same concept, but it was like a big cracker stick. Like if you bit into it without anything on it, it would just taste like you eating an animal cracker, and then you just dipped it into like a little saucer of nothing. This icing, like right, nothing healthy. But those were good. I wasn't a yogurt fan, but I saw the Trix yogurt in the aisle, and I remember the Trix yogurt commercials.
Yeah, I remember those.
The two like the yogurt was like banana / strawberry, but there were two flavors swirled together in yogurt. And then remember Gogurt?
Gogurt, yeah,
tubes of yogurt.
yeah. Do you remember Flintstone vitamins?
Oh, Flintstone everything, man. Flintstone's vitamins, gummy snacks. It's all there.
So
This,
good.
this
So
episode of Running Point brought to you by nostalgia. Um,
yeah.
Scotty, let's get back. Let's rewind
But
it again. We're going
yeah,
off the trails.
was gonna
Going
say
off the trails.
I was
Let's,
gonna say we're really
my
going
brain is
off.
scattered today.
Um,
Let's get back to sports. What do you got?
but I was just saying I wanted to add another one. The question you had asked me before, his name, I kept thinking of him, and he'd definitely be someone I want to play for, and that's Josh Upshire. Uh,
Oh yeah.
I definitely want to play for him in that LeBray program. So he would
Badger,
be
Badger, Badger, Badger.
that. I meant Badger.
Badger Josh. He did not
I'm
get a new
sorry.
job. Whoa, 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 whoa. Time out. Josh Upshire did not
I
get a new
meant
job at LeBray.
Badger. I don't know why. I always do that.
Same
Like,
color scheme. It's all
right? Yeah. I always do that.
Scotty's had a
Um,
color scheme mind.
yeah. Um, but I definitely want to play for Badger. They'd be another one
You
that I
better
would.
be tall. You better be tall because that's all they get down there in Badger are tall kids.
I guess I'm not that. I'm like about 5'9", so I don't know. I might
You gotta
not.
grow a little bit, Scotty.
Yeah, I would have to grow.
You just put some weights on your legs as you sleep. You'll grow a couple of inches. Dangle some
Yeah,
weights off your bed when you sleep.
you mean put the?
Yeah.
Are you? Did you ever have the weights? Did you sleep with weights ever? Like have them on your ankles and stuff?
Legitimately, no. That's just like oh, you can stretch your legs by throwing weights over the bed. I never actually did it.
Yeah,
That sounds terribly painful and not comfortable at all.
I know it wasn't real comfortable. I did it for a short time when I was a kid, but um, anyway, the other thing I wanted to talk to you about is I guess we'll start with camel football. And what do you think as far as camel goes? I think it's really going to benefit them that they've had kids on the roster that have gotten a lot of that experience now, and they were playing in as freshmen and playing in big time roles. Now it's they're in their senior year, and I just think that conference it's going to be a well balanced conference, but um, I've heard a lot of good things about Kevin Timlin, and I just wanted to know your thoughts on what are you expecting from the Camel program this season.
Honestly, you hit everything that I would have said about it, Camel. I mean, they're an experienced team. They're bringing back, a core of players, especially, Coach King's in his fourth year, so he's having seniors that were freshmen when he started, so they're going to be really motivated to give him a good season because they've been with him for 4 years, and this is kind of like their last hurrah with him. So I think they're going to be pretty motivated, more than most seniors, even more than most seniors, I should say, to get wins during their senior season. They're in a conference now in the MVAC Scarlet tier that's much more comparable to their size as far as school size. So, Coach King talked about in his coach's corner, he's going to be looking across and seeing a lot of D6, D7 instead of D5s all the time in Camel. So that might bode well for them. And the style of play for the Scarlet tier, for the most part, really works in Camel's favor as well. There's a lot of teams that play similar styles of football to them, so um, they'll be able to match up, I think, a lot better in the Scarlet tier. I think it's going to benefit them quite a bit. They have athleticism for days. I'm interested to see how some of these Scarlet tier teams that just are bruisers that rely on power more than strength, how they adjust to having to deal with the speed and athleticism of Camel, especially if they have to play Camel on that turf. That will be a thing though. The road games, most of the Scarlet Tier teams still have grass, so Camel will have to be playing off the turf when they go on the road. That'll be interesting to see how their speed handles that. But when you go to Camel and you're playing them on the turf and you have to deal with that speed, I'm really interested to see how these teams handle that.
And he talked about the speed Coach King did in your coach's corner and the athleticism and how they plan on using it to advantage. Do you think sometimes having that speed over like having size and like big guys that are kind of like those maulers. Do you, do you think it kind of depends on as far as what you would rather have in talking speed or size? Do you think it just depends on your team and like the schedule you're gonna play, or is there certain at certain times do you prefer like having great size and big boys over the speed, or do you just what do you think about that?
You need both to have a good football team. I mean, you can, if you're gonna pick just one, you're not gonna be successful because if you have nothing but big guys that they can't run, then someone's gonna be faster than you. And if you have nothing than speed, then eventually someone's gonna outpower you or someone's gonna penetrate that line. And speed can't go anywhere if you get to them quick through the offensive defensive line. So you gotta have both. There's no picking one or the other. You gotta have both to have a successful football team. There's just no way around it.
Do you see Camel because they've gone through some hard times, some trials and tribulations? Um, do you think that because they're gonna want to use the speed as kind of like an asset, like it's use it um, I guess what I'm saying is they're gonna want to play to their strengths and their speed. So, do you think that very early on in the season we'll see them kind of as far as the play calling goes and things they run? Do you think we'll see very early that they'll get creative in ways to use their speed, or do you think it's more just we'll try this, and if this works, we'll just go with it, not really kind of just simplify it and not think too outside the box? Or do you think that coaches like Coach King are always sort of thinking outside the box in a sense?
I think Camel's going to try to find as many ways as possible to get their athletes out in open space, right? That's what you want to do when you have speedy guys. You want to get them in open space where they can make someone miss and then take the ball a long ways, right? So they're going to do whatever it takes, whether it be screens, swing passes, you know, little slants across the middle of the field, whatever they can do to try to get their guys the ball with open space. That's what they're going to do. You can do that creatively, but there's also pretty vanilla, non-creative ways you can do it that just have worked for football teams all the time. Will continue to work for football teams all the time. So I don't think they have to be like super creative to get their guys the ball with open field, but they definitely can throw some stuff out there that'll be like, hey, if you're defending all these things well, then we're going to throw some things that will just make sure our athletes get the ball, because that's what they have to do. They have to get these playmakers to football, and they have to make sure they get them the football without people around them. You have to have space to run, or you're not going to be able to do anything no matter how fast you are. So getting these kids open field is going to be the biggest thing. That's where their power comes into play. They have to be able to block well one-on-one to get those screens to work, to get those wide receiver screens to work. So they have a lot of speed, but they also have to have some power and strength in that team. And that's going to be tested trying to get these guys into open space.
Um, And I also was wondering, like, do you think, as far as you talked about the speed and how they want to utilize it, do you think a lot of defenses, maybe they, when they go up against Camel, uh, for instance, like say they say, okay, we're gonna put a spy on this guy or a spy on that guy, or do you think defenses, like, they start the season, you're out there on the field, you're just waiting to see with maybe, you work on things in practice and then you show it in the game. But do you think early on it's more of a let's just run, not necessarily worry about the spies and stuff like that to combat the speed? Like, maybe at first you are a little more vanilla in your coverages and your schemes, before you kind of see what they roll out there on the field? Or do you think coaches and the other teams, they're constantly thinking about, how are we going to, neutralize the speed? And, they're thinking about using, like, spies, right off the bat? Or do you think you don't think it's necessarily like that, simple, and you kind of have to wait and see how it plays out on the field?
Defending a team like Camel and any team like Speed, I think one of the things you want to do is make them think, slow them down, not just slowing them down physically, but slowing them down mentally too. Make them have to make the read, make them have to do things cerebrally instead of reaction wise, right? So I think defenses will try to, change things right at the line of scrimmage, do things that just slow Camel down a little bit, make them think. Because if you can do that, then, Speed's going to be hesitating a little bit. And if Speed hesitates, then it's not as fast, right? So anything you can do to make that team that's fast kind of stop and think about things and can I hit this cut? Should I hit this? What this read is? You can really have success as a defense. So I think defenses will do things to try to make Camel not just slow down physically, but slow down mentally as well.
And then as far as the rest of the MVAC, do you pretty much see a dogfight, all the way from the beginning of the season? Do you see it as kind of like almost like it's going to be a war of attrition, who's healthy and, playing well at the right time? Or do you think there's some, like, clear-cut, obvious favorites?
Hold that thought. We will talk about the MVAC Scarlet Tier and maybe our thoughts on it when we come back from this commercial break.
21 News delivers the news as it happens, using the latest technology from where it happens.
Live here outside the Mahoney County.
On air, online,
Wednesday afternoon weather update.
Very dangerous.
and on the 21 News social media platforms.
I'm on the road right now.
21 News, the Valley's only locally owned source for trusted news since 1953.
Craftsmanship to us is 60 years of pride and dedication.
Passed down from generation to generation.
The hardwood floors that your kids take their first steps on.
The solid wood doors you quietly close at night.
The things we create day in and day out are the products that end up turning your house into a home.
At Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods, uncompromising quality and craftsmanship built our business.
And it will keep us moving forward for generations to come.
Going the extra mile at Greenwood Chevrolet means we want to take care of the community that takes care of us too.
And we have to work together always. And that's how you stay in business for 40 years.
You know, I love being a helper because when I help somebody, it makes me feel good.
It means a lot that I can make a difference in others' lives.
So I will do everything I can and just being there for them every step of the way.
I want them to know within the first 5 minutes that they could depend on me. That's what going the extra mile means, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Before the lights come on, before the workday begins, before a long day is ended, or it's time to have fun, it all starts with the people at Joe Dickey Electric. From replacing a light fixture in your home to building a substation for your business, no job is too big or too small. The people of Joe Dickey Electric power them all. Joe Dickey Electric, over 60 years of powering the Mahoning Valley.
Welcome back to Running Point on ysnlive.com, brought to you by our good friends over at Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. You can see them right above our heads there. Anthony Hartwig, Scotty Mincher, we're going the extra mile for you, just like Greenwood Chevrolet does. Before the commercial break, Scotty asked about the MVAC Scarlet Deer, which is a new look this year with Campbell entering the fray. And you wonder what it's going to look like for football. And, you got the big hitters. You got your Springfields, got your Western Reserves, got your Jackson Miltons, who played really well last year. Middle Ridge, of course. McDonald looking to come back. Campbell in the fold now. So you wonder how it's going to go, Scotty, and I don't see out of that list, I don't see like a clear cut, this is going to be the team favorite. I don't want to forget about Lowville as well, by the way. I don't see one team that's like, oh my gosh, they're just head and shoulders above the others ones. Springfield is always going to be kind of in that conversation because they're Springfield. They do what they do. I think Western Reserve trying to get back in that consistent conversation with a couple of solid years in a row. Jackson Milton, if they can stay consistent. Lowville's got some questions to answer. Your alma mater lost quite a bit of a good senior class. I know you know that. McDonald can really grind out games, so you never keep them out of the conversation. But I'm interested. I don't see a clear-cut favorite. Do you?
No, I think it's gonna be quite a fight. As you said, you got your teams that have been there and are consistent, like a Springfield. But I mean, and you mentioned Lowville. I think for them, because I thought, like I was thinking even last year, how are they going to be? They lost quite a bit, and they really, it was pleasantly, I thought they exceeded anyone's expectations, but can they do it again with so much they lost? Is it a thing where, there's kind of a culture built there now, and, they just plug in guys that I had a chance to play as underclassmen or maybe learn from some seniors, and now they just plug them in, and you don't really miss a beat. But McDonald's, you can never, they're never anything to take lightly. The Blue Devils, so it's gonna be a pretty balanced conference, I do believe, and I think as we get closer and closer to the season now, and I think once the season starts and we're into league play, I think it's gonna be a dogfight all the way through. It might go down to the very end of the season until some, a team comes out and they really assert themselves as the top dog in the MVAC.
Yeah, it'll be a really interesting conference, I think. I think there's a lot of really interesting conferences in football. I think we're seeing a little bit more parity this year, actually. I think a lot of these conferences are going to come down to multiple teams down the stretch, especially maybe conferences that we didn't see that earlier examples. I think the EOAC might be a little bit more wide open this year, a little bit more comparable. I think the other end of the Scarlet, the gray tier, the MVAC now with Southeast in there might be a little bit more competitive. I know Garfield's kind of their kind of big monster in there, but I think Brookfield has a good shot. I think Crestview's been looking good. So that conference looking a little bit more competitive. The NE8, there's always that team that pops up every year. There's always kind of a new team every season of who's going to be that team that becomes the most important game for South Range, right? Poland 1 year, Gerard, Hubbard. Who's going to be that one team that meets South Range with a chance to dethrone them? So we're going to be interested to see what team that comes out of this year. I think the NE8 is a very good conference. I think Struthers is very good. I think Poland, very good as always. I think Hubbard will be good. I think Niles is hard too. So that NE8, although South Range has to be the favorites because of what they've done in that conference, it's I think a lot more comparable too.
Do you think even though you pin South Range as the favorite?
Yeah, I mean they're the favorite until they're not. That's just the respect you give them with what they've done.
But do you think maybe that the room for error is maybe, slimmer than it's been in the past? Or do you think that, South Range have been so good, so consistent that they still have quite a bit of room for error?
It's hard. It's hard to say that because I haven't seen them on the field yet this year. But if you just got to go by years past, and it's just been like, when those games come up that it's like, okay, it's this game, this is the game for South Range, it seems like their dials turned up to 11, right? Where they are just, they're not going to, they refuse to lose. Even when Poland kind of pushed them a little bit last year. I mean, I think South Range had like 2 or 3 turnovers in that game. It didn't matter. South Range still won by 2 scores. So I think there's a lot that just happens in those kind of games that tell me that they're still the favorites. But I do think the window's getting closer, if that makes sense. I think the gap that was there between them and maybe 2 or 3 other teams is getting closer. I think it used to be South Range and then one other team, and then everyone else was just kind of fighting for third place. I think it'll be more of a big fight for that upper tier of the NE8, and maybe a couple of teams can have a good shot at South Range instead of just one.
And you talked about how they kind of turn the dial up when they do have that big matchup. And I could remember, I think it was 2 years ago, like even in a game, and they turned it over quite a bit. I want to say they maybe had 4 or 5 turnovers against Struthers, and
they still pulled that game out, and that was a game that they probably feel like could have easily lost, and we gave them up, but they still found a way to win that game, even though Struthers was getting them to turn the ball over. That's a good game to bring up right there, Scotty. I mean, I remember, but the thing was that wasn't like the big highlight game of the year. Everyone wasn't expecting Struthers to be that team to make that run. But then all of a sudden you go into that year and you go to that Gerard game where they're both undefeated. South Range cranks it up to 11 and they win easily. And then, the year before that, it was Hubbard with TC Caffey, supposed to be this big matchup. And then South Range just cranks it up to another level. So we've seen that happen several seasons in a row. So we just it's one of those things until it doesn't happen, you kind of just are just, okay, it's got to be expected.
Yeah, and I mean, it really goes back. Like, I can remember, when I was still in high school, and like it was around like my freshman or sophomore year, like 05, when and I remember they played my Rockets the last game of the season, and Louisville had to win to have any shot at the playoffs. And
that's a tough one because that was the year South Range, the first time in this program history, went to the state tournament. So that would have been a tough thing to have to beat that team to go to the playoffs.
Yeah, they just rolled over the Rockets.
Probably did not go your way.
No, it,
That was,
it didn't go our way at all. But that was really the first moment where I'm like, this South Range, like they're for real, because I really didn't know much about South Range at that point, and then after that game, I'm like, okay, like they really
right.
showed me something here.
Yeah, that was the year they went.
Mercy.
I could be wrong. I'm not like the South Range historian I used to be, but I think they went to state and they lost to Bedford Chanel, if I'm not mistaken. They went to the state semis. I know they went to the state semis. I just can't remember exactly what team they lost to. Definitely went to the state semifinals that year. Bedford Chanel might have been a team they lost to a couple of years before. I'm actually backtracking now. I'm pretty sure it was not Bedford Chanel they lost to in the playoffs that year. It was someone else. But they went all the way to the state semifinals that year for the first time. And what was sad about that year is when they went to state, in 17, a lot of people forgot about that year. And there were a lot of outlets out there, not us, a lot of other outlets that were like, this is South Range's first trip to state. And I was like, no, it's not. They went in 2005.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember that game specifically. I'm like, this is they have something here.
Yeah, that was the ITCL days back in 2005.
Yeah. So I'm showing my age with that.
I was let's see, 14 probably. That was probably like 5th, 6th grade, 7th grade.
Yeah, that it was
probably. It would have been the 05-06 school year, so probably 7th grade.
Okay, yeah, because you're only. I do have a few years on you.
I'm younger than you, but only by a little bit.
Yeah, by a little bit.
Smidge, scope,
Yeah, it doesn't. You're I don't know, the way you push your chair around though, and I'm a lazy bum in a power chair, and I'm like, Anthony, look at him. He's youthful. He's strong.
I love it.
And I'm like, I'm just a lazy bum now.
I'm just a lazy bum. No, Scotty, you work hard, buddy.
Yeah, I try, and once again, my apologies to Josh Upside,
who did not get a new job at LeBray.
Yeah, because I was thinking of the color scheme. So
he was in a color scheme state of mind.
I hope you can both give me a grace, but
he said it in the comments. Damn you, Scotty.
Yeah. That probably destroyed any
destroyed it.
Any chance of it's gone now.
Not being coached by him now. Another one.
That's okay though.
Man.
But thank you, Anthony, for as always letting me be a big part of the show, and that is a absolutely awesome intro, man.
Let's go.
I'm loving
Matt Marr for the intro. We'll see you again tomorrow, 1 to 2. We'll be back here. We have a couple of live guests. You'll have to stay tuned to our social media to see who we're bringing on tomorrow. A couple more fall sports previews, I can tell you that. And we'll be back on the show, 1 to 2. Have a good night, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. Running Point, always brought to you by